Thank you. We'll talk about this YouTube thing going on right now. It looks cloudy to me. Hold on. Much better. Cereal. What's up, son? Everybody welcome. Looks like we got 5 people in here. Yeah, so let me kind of tell y'all what's going on with YouTube lately, at least on my perspective, and I haven't contacted them. So I run this channel. I have the Christian channel. We have the Trucker 411, but none of us have really done anything because we've all just been busy and life has happened. But the Trucker 411 on Facebook's doing great. We got people joining periodically all the time. Revelation Life channel on Facebook, doing good there. I got people from, I have 2 Revelation Life Facebook pages. I've got a regular Revelation Life Ministry page, and then I have a Revelation Life Ministry group page. The group page, you have to become a member, meaning I have to approve you. Only certain people have approval access. That would be me, Regina, my sister, and I think I gave Deanne some, but Deanne's been so busy she hasn't been able to be really a part of it. But those people have approval rights, and then on the Trucker 411, Jay has rights to approve and so forth. YouTube, I don't know if it's them. I don't know when this happened. I don't know what it is. But initially, everything was cool. You know, we got the membership up on this page, stepped over 16, we're at 1,600 people. And then on my Revelation Life channel, it's just a little channel. It's got under 20 folks, right? Because I really hadn't been paying attention to the page until now. Well, I went in there and I went to do a live, to do a private message to the group, to a small group of ladies that I talked to. And I noticed that in the private live, which I didn't know I was even having live capability because we're not supposed to have live capability under 1,000 members. Under the private live, someone was in the live private. Now, a private live means that if I private it, nobody can see it unless I send the link, okay? So how this person was even in the live was questionable. And that then told me as I stepped back, this is probably somebody monitoring from YouTube. At first I thought, well, did somebody hack my accounts? And I've gone and changed all passwords. They still are coming in. So it tells me that it's somebody monitoring on the YouTube side. And maybe they have, especially in the times we're in, we don't know what the mandates are government-wise. I mean, this is where we're at, people, on what people consider that they're going to watch for, they're going to monitor. You don't know. And everybody's on these different political factions and bandwagons and just chaos. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that today because there's some stuff on my heart and I decided this was the forum I was going to do it in. And I don't really care whether YouTube like it, don't like it. If they want to take it down, that's fine. I can go do another one on Facebook and tell y'all how to get over there. Facebook has not blocked my freedom to speak. Just hasn't. So what they did do is, I mean, immediately, this tells me how quickly I'm being watched. I had picked up just a little picture of 2 birds talking as my thumbnail. And the birds were saying something about the word contrived. That's it. And it's like a dictionary thing. They immediately shut it down and said something about copyright infringements. So I believe they're looking for stuff just to stop maybe certain conversations. Hell, I don't know. I'm good on it because what I do have, and I'm going to be buying the whole full professional version, I can create my own thumbnails. Because what I would notice is that if I do my thumbnails, I could be laughing, my mouth be open, and YouTube would put the craziest thumbnail up of me laughing, almost make you look like you're crazy. So I was like, okay, y'all want to play this game? I just do my own thumbnails. And I've done them before because I've been doing YouTube for years, even in other stuff, back in the day when I had other accounts on YouTube. So I don't know what this is. I know it's new. I know it's something very new. So again, I don't know. We're going to talk about something that happened this morning. I'm just going to get on into it. Let's see. I'm going to say hi to everybody. I said hi to Regina, hi to my son, JJ, hi to Magical Girl Wendy. And we got somebody else in here. I don't know who else came in, but folks can come in as they do. Please, if you watch this video and replay it later, let's give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe, share it out, hit the bell for notifications. This morning has been that morning. I woke up this morning and I got up and as typical of all of us now, first thing I do as a 51-year-old, I check to see what's going on in the news, especially with the things that are going on in the world as they are today. So I watched my kind of a recap of NBC nightly news. I watched some of the other NBC stuff because NBC is my American channel. That's the one I like. It seems to be less political, less contrived. I like that Lester Holt. It's very just cut and dry. I'm not feeling like in Fox where you're trying to get me to go one way, or in CNN where you're trying to get me to go other ways. Now, there are certain people, like I love Cuomo. I like Cuomo. I watch him. I like Cuomo. Hands down, I like him. I like his brother who's over New York. I like both those guys. I'm not like other people talking about they Cuomo-sexuals, but I do like them, okay? So I watched my little news. I caught up with stuff. Then I kind of go through, and Regina knows on Facebook I'm a big recipe person. So I look at different recipes. I also have my garden stuff. I look at that. I check in with my trucking channel, even though I might not say nothing. Y'all don't know I am watching. And sometimes I'll find something and post something. I'm part of a couple other CDL groups, some women CDL groups. Or if I see news or I get something, I'll share it on there. And then I'll go through my regular Facebook and catch up with family and friends. So for me, I don't have a lot of people. Well, I do and I don't, but I don't have a lot of people, and I have denied. So I'm going to say that. If you do follow me on here and I don't know you and I haven't really interacted with you, if you come onto my Facebook page and you want to befriend me and I don't know who you are, I'm most likely going to decline it. And the reason is because I don't know who you are. It's if you want to join the Trucker 411, answer the questions, and you follow me and other truckers that we have for that group there, and other truckers who post. It's not only us, but we have members who post. You're welcome to do that. But if I don't know you, I don't just accept random friend requests on my Facebook page. I don't. And I did initially, but then I started seeing content that's not my character. So I had like male truck drivers who were part of other groups, and they put very explicit sexual stuff up. Boom, you gone. It's not something I want to see. I don't want to see no woman's behind, a stripper. I don't want to see all that. I just don't. I don't want to know. It's not a dating site for me. You're gone. You're going. It's out. That's not my content. And if that's your content, it's just not where I'm at. So I actually unfriended or unfollowed that person. So I would say that right off the bat. But I have associates of mine, people who are friends, people I've worked with. And one of them I mentioned my boy Mike. And we were teamed together when we were in trucking school. He was an Air Force veteran. He's the one I told you his father died of COVID. Much respect. Love Mike and his family. In my heart of hearts, he's a good person. He's a sweet guy. His family's cool. His kids are cool. His former wife was cool. I met the new wife. Good people. Good-hearted guy. Very much proud of him. Very impressed with his life. Again, this man was an Air Force veteran, 3 tours. He used to pick our soldiers' bodies up, put them in the bags, and get them back here to America to their family. And how you do that and still have half of mine, I don't know, because I know what you saw in the bodies that were shot up, killed, bombed, and everything else, and you got to package that up and get it here. So we need. I respect him. I respect him on that level, although, as he said, we agree to disagree on some things. But something he did this morning perturbed me, and I'm going to talk about it. And it's set, as my grandma used to say, it's set in your, people say it's sit in your craw. It's something that it bothers you. It's like in your spirit, and it don't sit right. Then there's another young lady, I don't mention her name. She and I worked at the University of Phoenix. And we were on the same team for a little bit when I was working at the University of Phoenix. Very, very nice lady. I later found out she's a staunch, and not again, I don't try to get too far into politics, but we're going to talk about them a little bit today. She's a staunch Trump reporter from the evangelical right side, okay? And I am Christian, 100% hands down, especially where I'm at in my life right now. I am Christian. No ifs, no ands, no buts, no in-betweens, no overs, no unders. That is where I'm at, okay? And as you guys have seen the growth of the channel and seen where I'm at from back when I started trucking and I was swearing and everything else, and I was Christian then, I was just backslidden. And I was licensed minister back then. I'm just not walking in it. But something transpired from SRT, well, it was even happening before SRT, up until now, that brought me back to my fundamental Christian base. And I am here probably to the casket call or to the rapture. One of the two. I am hands down, I'm in it to the end. And it's never been more solid for me than it is now. So, and especially based on some things I see, like I said, if I take you back from me just leaving SRT to coming back here to Arizona, and I told you how all that transpired and told you all the unctionings, and then to be where we're at right now, it is not a question in my mind that God has been working in my life. Not one question, okay? So today, I get up and I'm going to kind of go through what I saw. So my boy Mike, he puts up a post of two very prominent African. I told you it was coming, son. Y'all read his comment. See, God is good. God moved me, and he talking about that terminal ain't even in Arkansas anymore. Covenant took over. Anyway, see, God, y'all, I'm going to go back and tell that story one day. I might take it at the end of this because we're going to talk. So, and I got cereal here. Y'all got to eat because I haven't taken my meds yet this morning. And what we'll do is probably take a break, let y'all comment, and I'll eat, and then I'll respond. But I want to talk about this. So Mike got up this morning, and he put a photo up that came from another trucker friend of his, and it stated that there were two very, 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 one of them's like billionaire, trillionaire black woman. The other one is her friend, who is also a newscaster. And it made a comment about, you guys have been silent. You haven't said anything about the death of this black man, but yet you commented on the death of a very prominent basketball player who had a sexual issue. Y'all know who I'm talking about. A long time ago, and a particular newscaster in interviewing certain people asked about that incident, okay? And it pissed a lot of black folks off. It did. It pissed black folks off. I'm not one who got pissed because I understand sexual abuse, because I'm one of them, right? I'm a former victim. So, and I understand some of the psychology behind it, but I also understand that sometimes we negate people, and we can, powerful people can maybe, and I don't know whether he didn't do, none of us know. We weren't in the hotel. We weren't in the incident. We don't know if the woman set him up. We don't know. We truly don't know. It happened. There weren't witnesses. So we don't know what took place. We know there was an accusation. We know he got off. That's what we know. But at the time of his death, this particular newscaster brought up this incident. It pissed people off because, like I said, oftentimes we put people in caskets and we want to glorify them and not deal with the reality of them, okay? We want to make people look lovely who might not be, okay? And I'm be honest. I don't know him. I didn't know this man. I wasn't in his household. I wasn't part of his family. The same way I don't know these two women. I know what the world has shown me, the public has seen. He was talented. They're talented. They're very gifted. One of them is very highly intelligent. And I'm not saying neither of them are, but one of them definitely is highly intelligent. And my problem with what he did and what we do as African Americans is oftentimes we are guilty for throwing each other under the bus at a time when we shouldn't. I'm going to tell you a quick story of something I learned in a work environment, in a management training under a very unique Anglo woman, red lipstick and all, blonde hair and the blue eyes. And I'm not being discriminatory. I'm just keeping it 100. I was working for a Fortune 500 telecommunication company. I moved my way from entry level up into the tech department, up into a middle management position. At this particular company, I ended up working under one guy who was very much pushing me. He had me training his supervisors coming in, and I was still in what they call an acting supervisor role. I was giving everything I had, everything I had. Well, what happened is that that supervisor who I was covering for, she came back. And another lady all of a sudden requested me. What I didn't know is that was the setup. I'm working my butt off, okay? Working my butt off. And I mean, I was going in there, I would stay till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. My team, making sure everything was on point for my team, making sure I was handling it, and I'm doing everything. I wasn't treated the best again, another one of these situations. But this time, it wasn't based truly on my ethnicity. It was based on the fact, I'm sorry, that's me, I knocked something over. It was based on the alternative lifestyle that I was in, okay? Is what they used in the roundabout way. It's, but what happened, I'm going to tell you how it happened. I'm not going to go into everything. In working there, I've always learned in my thought process is that you can learn good and bad from everybody. Like I had crappy trainers in trucking. I still took something positive for them. Even like when I was with Werner, the first guy, I knew he didn't like me based on complexion. I don't know what he was because he didn't look white, but he was like acted like he was. I don't know what he was. He looked like he was from some other country, but he felt he was better than black people and he identified himself with white folks. And his treatment, some of the sayings he said, and he made sure that we got from here to Dallas, and that's where I got off his truck. That was pretty much, he was my first trainer. And he was special. But what I learned, he told me some of the rules of his trucks. And one of the rules of his trucks was when you got into the back bunk, you didn't take your shoes into the back. It's a simple rule. I took it. I was like, okay, he's a crappy trainer, but I get it. So basically, he didn't want to track the dirt and stuff from wherever you were at to the back of the bunk where you're going to have to go to bed. I still use that rule today when I drove a truck, okay? The next guy I had, I forgot what he gave me some other rule. Oh, he had a saying, and I liked it. He basically said, keep me out the east where freight is the least. Keep me out the west where tickets are the best. Keep me in the middle where I can get me a little. And I kept that little saying. It's funny, it's cute, but it's fact. And I was like that. So I took something from each of my trainers. The lady trainer, she's the one that came with the porta potty. And I took that idea from her. So every trainer, even if they were crappy, I took something that I felt was positive from them. Well, that's been me even in corporate America as well. So back when I was working in this job, this particular lady, she said something. And see, you can learn from good and bad. You can learn from crappy people. You can learn. You can learn. Monty, my father sucks. But I had learned a lot from that lying, manipulative, narcissistic dude. He's got some street wisdom. He's a hot mess. But I've learned a lot from interacting with my biological father. I have learned a lot, okay? I've learned some of the stuff that I inherited from him that I need to reevaluate. I've learned a lot. So in the course of working there, we had a supervisor at this company, and she was horrid. I heard about her from the time I started entry level, okay? The lady was mean. She was vicious. She was just abusive. I mean, horrible woman. She was so bad that most reps were scared of her, that people went out on medical disability, like mental leave. This woman was horrid. I mean, just absolutely. She had people scared, okay? Well, I moved from the team of the director who really liked me, the associate director who liked me, and who saw my potential, and I moved to this woman's team that she reported to, okay? We had a new faction come in. So initially when I started working there, the acting director was an African-American man. And when the position came open here in Arizona, he knew he was not going to get the Arizona position. So it's interesting because what position did they transfer him to? Atlanta. I'm just saying. But Arizona, they brought an Anglo man in to run this particular telecommunication division I work for. And with him, he brought certain of his associate directors, one of which was this lady I reported to, who the crazy supervisor also reported to, who she loved. That already tells you the mindset. So we were pulled into a meeting, and I was one of the, she brought in two chocolate chips. I was the darkest, and the other one was mixed. And it was a girl she knew from when she had worked there before, because she followed this particular Anglo director to the other call center that he ran. Okay? Politics in America. Corporate politics. So when we went into our supervisory meetings, and I'm not going to tell everything that took place with me, because I basically, after her team is when I actually ended up leaving that company, and I was downsized out. We won't even go into that drama. Supervisor of the quarter on the board as I'm downsized out. I'm just saying. Me. So acting role, supervisor of the quarter. My team, even with the roadblock she was putting in place of me, I accomplished the goals. And I had my team, I had Anglo white team members. One of them, he came up to me afterwards, and his father owned a business. And this is what he said, and I'm just going to share this with you. He said, Shannon, I appreciate you. I really do. White guy. He said, I don't say much, but don't think I don't see what they're doing. And I'm sorry for what you have to go through here. That's a white guy who identified what I was going through up in that office, okay? Anyway, back to the story. She pulled us in a room because reps would come to me. They felt comfortable talking to me. I identify with people well. And I had also been a rep, so they felt comfortable coming to me, and someone would pull me in and talk to me about this particular supervisor who was on my team. And I think she knew that, obviously. So she pulled us into a group team meeting, and she told us, sometimes you may not agree with your fellow coworkers, but as management, we must hold a concerted front. We must hold a concerted front. What you see right now with the issue that has happened with the police and what happened with that situation, with this man on the ground with the knee in his neck, and other police stood there, that is their concerted front. I want y'all to hear me. This morning, when I woke up to Mike putting the picture up of these two very prominent black women and going after them because he feels they should say something during this time, and to go after them and to take them and throw them under the bus. People, I want y'all to hear me from my African American folks. The person who told me about the concerted front was an Anglo, a white woman, because that's how they operate. We're not working in a system we created. We're working in their system, a system that was created for them, by them, for them. And we're working in that system in order to try to get justice. We will not get that justice by dividing the house. I want to say it again. We will not get that justice by dividing the house. There is an old school saying, a house divided against itself cannot stand. There is a reason why right now we have a higher echelon in politics who, no matter, even though a lot of them, when this started out and that gentleman got that position of our president, let's just go there. A lot of them didn't like him. They still don't like him. But what they have done is exactly what she taught me. They've come up with a concerted front. It's the same way you put a knee in somebody's neck and an entire police department supports it. It's a system issue. And unfortunately, you cannot not fight on their level when they created the system. So going in and being divided is how you don't win. A house divided against itself cannot stand. And right now in America, as a house, we're divided and we're not standing. So, depending on which side of this civil protest you're on, you have to hold a concerted front for even those who aren't doing what you want them to do. Hear me. Hear me. The second post I woke up to, a part of this day, was the young lady from University of Phoenix. Now, we've had a little conversation before. We don't really talk as much because I know where she stands. She is definitely evangelical Christian, supporter of the Republican Trump Party. But let me blow your wig back more. When we worked together and I saw this young lady, she looked like, I thought she was Latino. I did. I thought she was Latino. But I think she's black and white mixed. So she's what my best friend calls biracial. So let me give you a little history lesson. Back in the day, going back slavery to here, there was a point where if you had one drop of black blood in your body, you were considered black. It didn't matter if you looked like Lena Horne. Lena Horne is still a Negro by the terms of what ethnicity was. Okay? Lena Horne was still that. Okay? So Lena Horne was black, even though she could pass. I think Ella was another one. With the right look, Ella could pass because they were lighter African Americans. But one drop of black blood made you black. Somewhere along the line of, I think, population, power, and privilege, we now incorporated a new form of thought process so we could diminish the numbers. I'm going to say that's what, in my opinion, it is, in an African American community and in minority communities, and increase them in other areas. And I took a class on this at Mace Community Colleges, okay? And when the man said it, I just did like this, because it's one of those ones that just takes your wig and blows it back. Just takes your wig off and blows it back. Over time, as the Anglo population has gotten smaller, or those people that want to consider themselves quote unquote white, has gotten smaller, and the minority population as a whole got bigger, all of a sudden we got shaken in the boots. We can't let them get too much power. And then you get an African American president. Oh, hell no. Okay? But prior to Obama, what started to happen, because I really believe they saw it coming, it became an issue of we got to increase our numbers. So somehow through this systematic drama, we now take people who used to know that one drop of black blood made you black, or that one drop of Latino blood made you Latino. Well, if you can pass and you don't look like them, then you on your application can say white. You can say biracial. You can even say maybe Latino, because that's a little more accepted. Just don't click that black button. So this young lady, she happened to work with us at University of Phoenix. So we played a company event. I'll be right back. Hold that thought, y'all. I gotta move the water. Plants outside, and I got a little plant that just started growing. All right, I'm back. Not a fan of this chair, but it's going to do until I can get a better one. So this young lady, when we worked with her, we did this was University of Phoenix. We did like, one of the little get to know you games. She had come to the team. And the question was, what's something about yourself nobody knows? So everybody went around with their turn. When it came to her, she said, well, I have XYZ who's black in my family. Nice girl, but at that point, my red flag went up. So that means that on your application, you don't identify with being African American. Okay? And I just was like, interesting comment. Now, my best friend, Jane, is black and Korean. Okay? Her father was a black man. If you see Jane in Florida, they trying to figure out what the hell she is. They're like, oh, they start speaking Spanish to her. They're like, what the hell are you? They know she's not necessarily white, but they damn sure don't identify the black. But when Jane fills out her application, black. She could check biracial. She could probably check Korean, because her mama was Korean. Jane checks black. She identifies with what she is. Her husband's a very light-skinned man, but he's black. Her daughter, obviously, being the product of them, she's even lighter, and she's black. And people were wondering what she was at school, too. What are you? Which I already hate that, too. So this young woman today, she puts on there's another man, apparently, who has a black man who was killed, I think, in California, due to the rioting. And he is I think, retired policeman or something like that. So those who are either Trumpers or evangelical right, they're now using this man's death in order to negate the protest that's taking place. Well, ain't nobody gonna mention him. He was killed during all the protesters / looters. A house divided against itself cannot stand. Okay? Sometimes to be in unity, you have to use the same tactics of your enemy. I'm just saying. These folks realize who their upper echelon leader is, and they will follow that man off a cliff right now. But over here, where we are, who stand in agreement, for most of the people who watch this are probably in agreement, because you wouldn't be following me probably otherwise. You'd probably throwing me the middle finger and going somewhere else, right? I'm out, right? For those of us who agree that this man was killed, and I'm going to be honest, I really wouldn't care what his nationality is. How that man was treated and died, whether he was Anglo, whether he was Native American, whether he was African American, whether it was a man or a woman, the way he was handled was horrible. And it was injustice. And if it wasn't based on ethnicity, we might just base it on maybe his lot in life, his class, his financial prowess, because it doesn't look like he had much. And I can't judge it. I don't know whether he was a billionaire or not, but he didn't look like he was, and I'm saying we're going on looks, but based on what they've shown us of his life, it doesn't sound like he was a wealthy man, okay? We cannot go we already have the faction of the looters. And I almost think that actually has been set up in order to discredit the legitimate protest of those who are trying to peacefully protest. I really believe it has been set up in order to put a house divided against itself and make it fall. So we have to think, even on what we post on social media, we have to think before we act, before we react, before what we say. We have to think on how it is going to be perceived and conceived, because they use a concerted front. You need to too. It's the nature of the beast. Art of War, Sun Tzu. Whatever you got to do, you need to wrap your mind around the game that we in right now. This is a civil anarchy that is happening right now. This is civil unrest for a reason. I said several years ago to a couple people I knew, we're America's due for a civil, we're due for a civil kind of war. We are due. We're due because of the disproportionate treatment between race and class. The problem is, even in class, we've got folks that are Anglo who won't stand with us because it goes back to LBJ. If I can convince the poorest white man that he's better than the best black man, I can pick his pockets. Hell, he'll just give me his money. So white folks in a certain class, lower class, middle class, they still want to feel better than, based on color, based on ethnicity, and feel privileged. And they do have some privilege because of their skin tone, but they people still keep them in their place. And if they would wake up to their economic disadvantage and understand that the same people that they think make them feel better about themselves keep them in their economic place, because that the way you keep your money coming in is to keep a group of people down, you might have a different attitude. And you might jump on the bandwagon with us. And you might see from a different perspective. We cannot be divided. We have to know who we are. We can't be like this young woman, God bless her, and I have no ill will. She was a very sweet lady at my University of Phoenix. We've gotten to some conversations back during that whole judge incident when they put that judge on there against that lady and the whole him raping her and all that other stuff that happened. She took the side of the judge. And you female? Now, I truly don't know what happened. I know that I have my own viewpoint based on the testimony that I heard and based on how I saw it being handled on what's truth and what's false. I know based on the people coming out the woodwork regarding this dude, I got my own view on what happened. It's just like Cosby. And I have people that I know, again, a house divided against itself can't stand. I have female friends of mine who defended Cosby. I'm like, have you ever been sexually abused? No. Have you been raped? No. Have you had an attempted rape? No. Have you been molested? No. Okay, well, you need to go in that corner and shut up and just sit down and not say nothing. There's a point where you don't divide the issue. Too many women, well, these women are waiting all this time. There's too many women with the same story coming out the woodwork behind this dude. He most likely did this. Granted, yes, all of us like Cosby. We all had a look at who he was as a star, but we're not in the closed doors of people. And as a licensed minister, I'm going to tell you something I've learned. People can put on fronts. You meet people, you see them, you see the face they show you. You don't know people truly until you get in their house and you live behind the closed doors and you interact with them. Then you start knowing who people really are. My father come down here and cool, everybody thought he cool. Nobody knows that Monty lies. People still think that man's a respiratory therapist. He was never a respiratory therapist. He was a respiratory technician, if that. And I'm wondering how much of that is true. Hell, for all I know, he could have been a janitor and lying about that. Because you don't know until you get behind the closed doors and see who people truly are. So for you to go and say so-and-so should be talking and saying you're not in their household, you don't know what they're doing. You don't know what they're strategizing. You don't know where their money might be going. And honey, this right here that's going on and what this movement is up against, it's a financial issue, number one. It's a civil rights issue, number two. And now We're dealing with military police force that is going to most likely, if this don't calm down, become deadly. And we're going to have blood on American streets in a level we ain't seen before. We getting ready to have civil unrest on a whole nother level with the people that are in the top. So we don't need to divide our house by sitting up here going back to something that happened with a basketball star, and that we expect women, these two women, to say something on your behalf because in your opinion, you put all that into this black man did this. We don't need that. It's dividing the house. And with this young woman who puts out this thing about some black guy who was a former military, who got a former police officer who unfortunately got killed during the looting and the riots. This is some of the travesty that's going to happen because of the injustice. And for you to try to use that platform to diminish the civil injustice of what's going on and why, unfortunately, he also is a product of this mess, that becomes another divide. We can't do it. And to support your political agenda and your political affiliations, to say, oh, well, you know, this is over here, and to put these as two political issues, it is and it isn't. This isn't about Republican or Democrat. This is about justice. This is about fairness. This is about equality. This is about civil rights. And you, as a female who at one point couldn't even vote, at one point couldn't get paid the same wages, and in some states, we're still getting dicked over in our finances as women. As African Americans, people in alternate lifestyles. All everybody wants is an equal playing ground when it comes to basic fundamental rights. We don't need to divide the house because, see, everybody else, they're going to do the concerted front. And if y'all don't understand what a concerted front, y'all know me, how I think. I'm going to read y'all something. Hold on. I put it up on my computer. Let me read y'all something. I'm going to get into my computer here. I'm going to read y'all this, and then we're going to talk, and I'll answer questions. So, what is a concerted front? Okay, let's go there real quick. The definition of concerted is mutually contrived or agreed on, performed in unison. Okay, the word I want to go to is contrived. And what contrived stands for is deliberately created rather than arising naturally or spontaneously. So what you're telling me, what that woman told me when I worked for that Fortune 500 company, was even though I know this woman is a butthole and I wouldn't support her, I'm supposed to stand in unison with management on a woman that has people stressed to the point of suicidal. A woman that will have somebody stressed to the point of probably coming up in there and shooting up that building if you let her keep going. That's what I'm supposed to stand in unison for and agree with her foul treatment of other human beings. That's what's happening right now, ain't it? Unfortunately, you sometimes have to play the other person's hand against them. And you have to use the same dirty, low-down, nasty tactics in order to win the game or to at least get a seat at the table. Contrived. Injustice. Absent of justice, violation of rights or of the rights of another. This protest that these kids are doing right now, and it's kids, most of us who are older, we're not out there, we're not where we should be. And the sad part is, you need it. Me and Mike, we're old. Mike is in his 50s like I am. We're the same age. I'll be 52 here in June, or this month, end of this month. Mike is the same age as I am. Me and Mike, we're not out there with them babies fighting on the front lines. It's stuff that we should have did for them. But our generation, like our parents' generation, we got caught up in the finances, the monies, the flossing, the cars, the bling, and trying to be like white people. That's one of the reasons all these, I hate to say it, sisters in the fake weave hair, I can't stand it. Can't stand it. I did it. I had my hair pressed and all that stuff we went through trying to look like something we're not and trying to be something we're not. If everybody could come to the table with their unique ethnicities, differences, and just accept this is who you are. And at the end of it, God will deal with whatever He's going to deal with on judgment. That's what He's going to deal with. And that's going to deal with a whole bunch of other stuff on top of it. But going and throwing other African Americans under the bus is not how to do it. It's just really not. What I learned from Anglo people and even some Latinos, they will stick together even if they know they're wrong. Yeah, they will. They will help each other even if they know they're wrong. They'll cover for each other even if they know they're wrong. That's what's going on with the police. Concerted front. Contrived. A product of slavery was the division that is between us. That we go into offices and into businesses and we can't get along. We're a house divided against each other. And that started, and really Malcolm X hit it with the house nigga and the field nigga. I'm just going to go here. In those two functions, you got two different ones. One that stood for one thing and one that stood for another. One because they felt their treatment was better and they became better than. When I had that, was it Nigerian or whatever she was, the African lady on my truck when I was with Swift. And when she first got on my truck, I was lighter than her. She's darker than me. And just more, she was just a darker chocolate. And when she got on my truck, later within a conversation on this day or two, she talked about how she didn't like her skin. It wasn't her skin, it was her skin tone. I knew what it was. And she talked about how, she says, you have really nice skin. What she was really talking about was my skin tone was lighter than hers. You see, they've already been impacted, a lot of the Africans that have come over here, to think they're less than. And so, honestly, she too would take better instructions from somebody Anglo because she felt they were better than somebody who's African American. They look down on us because that's something that's been taught and inbred to them from a group that is derived from their culture, from their country, because of the ignorance of it, because of the poison pill, because of the divisiveness and the division of a system. This is all systematic. The system of being different, the system of being separate. We either have unity or we have division. And if we cannot have unity, we will not win this situation. This is exactly what happened to us at the stop with Martin and Malcolm. When they were about to join, both men were killed. When they were about to join up, to work together, to bridge the divide, both men were killed. And we kept the division. The division has been put in our neighborhoods through alcohol, liquor, drugs, HIV and AIDS, and many other things. The division. Initially, there was a point where Latinos and African Americans, we was in the same boat rowing together because we both knew we were minority classes not treated well. But then something changed. And because Latinos had a lighter appearance than African Americans, they became more accepted. And so then a better than attitude happened. And then the house became divided. And the two minority groups didn't stand together. But now, as I saw what I'm seeing, and I looked at Colorado, who I told you we knew as African Americans and other minorities that have some racial issues in Colorado, and I saw the number of Anglo kids out there with African American kids, out there with Latino kids, and other nationalities that said, freaking enough. This new generation is so blended. They're intermarried, biracial families. It's no longer this one white people group that's trying to create divisiveness. And then we have a faction of folks through the term of Christianity, and Joe said to me, well, why are Christians? Note the word evangelical Christian and no Christian. Why are Christians supporting him and supporting this agenda and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da? So I asked Joe, I said, Joe, you ever heard the biblical story about the Sadducees and the Pharisees? Oh, I never. Because he went to Catholic church. I don't know what Catholic church teaches, but Joe did not pick up anything about Pharisees and Sadducees. Love Joe. Don't know what the Catholic church was teaching at his Catholic church. But I'm going to give y'all a quick lesson. And I know, some of y'all don't want to hear Christian stuff, but I want to give this lesson, and I got to give it. Pharisees and Sadducees, and I'm not going to quote scripture, I'm just going to give you the story. During the time of Christ, they were a religious group that were supposed to be what we would consider the religious leaders of the day. So would be the Christian leaders of the day back during the time of Christ. The Pharisees and Sadducees, if you follow some of the story of Christ and you go read it, what you will find is they kept a very close relationship to the leadership of Rome, politics. And the Pharisees and Sadducees were considered like your reverends and your priests and all that, these big wigs that everybody looked up to for their spiritual guidance, yada, 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 yada. Okay? Now here comes the Son of God, Christ. And he didn't even deal with them. They supposed to represent the godly belief system that he put down for the Israeli people, or the Hebrews, Jews. He didn't even deal with them. Why did he deal with them? Because he knew they were full of it. He knew that they weren't truly representing what his message was. They were about themselves. They were about power, position, money, narcissism. You see, when Jesus came, they didn't want that Jesus, because there's two prophecies about Jesus. There's Jesus the humble servant, and there's Jesus the conquering king. And what they wanted the conquering king to come in, kick Rome out, and then put them in positions so they could still be important. Similar maybe to an evangelical group that puts themselves close to some politicians so they can still be important. And have a group of Christians that follow them based upon what their so-called Christian belief system is, and say, oh, well, we're getting this particular politician to do our bidding. I'm still curious as to why my Lord, when he was on this planet, really didn't deal with the politicians, and he didn't deal with y'all. I'm just saying. You see, this is the other problem, and I'm going to talk about Christianity. Christianity has been used in two forms, good and bad. You have the form that brought us over on ships in the name of Christianity to civilize us. They shackled us, they raped us, they beat us, they cut off hands and limbs, mistreated us, and still to this day we're going through drama. In the name of Christianity, we're going to make them civilized. Some people would ask, well, how can you be black and be Christian? Because I don't take what I was introduced to once I knew truth about it to understand when people manipulate it for their own gain. Because Christianity is a stem-off of Judaism, another oppressed people. And sometimes, even when it was in its growing infancy, it was used in an abusive way. We need to go back, and we need to understand each other. See, in school when I grew up, we were taught one history. I had to go research my history. I had to go take a college class in order to find out about African American history and what I grabbed from when I was in predominantly black schools, as my mom tried to keep me out of, but I had to go back to on occasion because of where we lived, and she was using her job and trying to get me into good, better schools. But because of those educations, I did get an understanding of some of my African American history, and I paid to take a class to be trained on other parts of it. We need to come different. We need to come real different. A house divided against itself cannot stand. We can't take and throw people under the bus just because they're silent. A.B. Griffith. Y'all, let me go get my plug. My battery's running down. Hold on. On my foot. I'm gonna move y'all because I gotta plug you in. I gotta get some more bookshelves. I'm gonna get my stuff out of storage. Hopefully y'all can see me okay. There we go. We can't continue in divisiveness. We've got to think through. And I know that a lot of people are angry. And I only have, like I said, it's 1,600 members. And I'll probably post this on the Facebook too. But think before you react. Reevaluate before you react. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes before you react. And also stop running other people's households if you don't know what's going on. And don't think just because they are a superstar or they're famous that they need to speak on something. You don't know how or if or what they may be doing in the background during this hour. Here in Arizona, we have businesses. I mentioned 2 yesterday. Well, one of them here and one of them I don't know where Bright Sellers is at. There are businesses who are going to support one agenda and some that support others. Do I need them to put signs outside saying BLM lives matter or whatever? I don't necessarily need that. But what they did publicly was send personal letters to their to the people who, what's the word I want to use? To their customers is another word I wanted to use, but that's okay. To their customers who follow them, who've gone to their restaurant, who signed up for their communications, and they said, hey, here's our stance, and this is what we're going to do. And we're not only doing that, we're going to put our money where our mouth is. And we're going to go ahead and contribute to these 7 organizations down here, NAACP, Urban League, Black Lives Matter, some other civil rights organizations that they mentioned, in support of the peaceful protest. They put their money where their mouth is in an economical, challenging time for most businesses during the middle of a pandemic when they have been closed for weeks and not made any money, but yet we're going to make donations. Bright Sellers, that company, I have an order from them. I'm going to be ordering for them, not this paycheck, but the next paycheck I get. I'm going to order some wine from them just to support them because I was impressed. Hey, we're a small company. We're really just kind of starting out this way, and all this happened. But you know what? We're going to take $100 for each employee that we have, and we're going to make some contributions to some civil rights organizations in support of BLM, Black Lives Matter. Do they need to put signage on their business saying that to me? Not necessarily. They didn't have to say anything to me. I just appreciate that they have enough to stand back and say, something's not fair here and we need to make it right and we want to contribute. Do I judge the fact that Colorado, I know, has some racial issues, Arizona has racial issues, but yet I saw white kids laying on the ground with their hands behind their back in support of the civil rights of another human being, because they decided to sit at the table with us and say, this ain't right. This isn't right. Today I sent something out. Regina got it. A couple other people got it. A young person. Who sent it to me? Oh, I think it was a Native American. My Native American friend who we went to church together. It's a TikTok video. And I don't know, this TikTok is new. I'm old now, right? So this TikTok thing is new. Well, the young lady, there's a black lady sitting on the left hand of the screen or whatever. And on the right hand side is this little white girl talking. And she's like, she's watching the video. And the white lady's outside and she's talking. And she says that her and her friend, which I appreciate this too, they dialoguing. So as an Anglo white person, she's opening up the conversation, which needs to happen with her friends. Because see, those conversations sometimes aren't going to be received by me. But Anglo to Anglo, you might be able to reach your folk and get them on a different page. I'm just saying. So thank you, sis, for what you did. She says, in this TikTok video, she says that she goes to her friend. I'm going to say Becky Hill. I don't know what the girl's name was. And Becky, she talks to Becky, and Becky says, I'm so sick of this, Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. The girl's just telling the story. And she said, okay, Becky, I got you. She says, okay. She says, you're right. All lives do matter. She said, but I want to give you an example of something. She says, it's powerful. She says, if we all went to dinner and we all going to eat, and they come with plates for everybody but Bob. Bob don't get a plate. And Bob like, well, where's my plate? I'm hungry. And she said, but Becky, remember, everybody at the table is hungry. And you say to him, dude, everybody's hungry. Everybody's hungry. So we all get to eat. Everybody else at the table, except for Bob. Bob don't get to eat. He don't get no plate. She said, but everybody else, they get a plate, they get to eat. But Bob don't get nothing to eat. She said, that's kind of like Black Lives Matter. Because what happens is everybody at the table is hungry. But they won't give Bob a plate at the table. So Bob is going to starve out. She said, so Black lives do matter. Because if we can't all eat, there's a problem. This is a systematic issue. It has been an entrenched system for years. And it is, even to me, not going to necessarily be solved here. But what these kids are doing is bigger than what even Malcolm and Martin did. Because they have gained world attention on a different level. And at the same time, I believe there's an underlying faction that's trying to dismantle, devalue what the youth are trying to do and saying enough. Our parents went through it. Our parents' parents went through it. Enough. All we want is our plate at the table fairly. All I want to do is eat my meal. All I want to do is live my life without being looked upon based on the ethnicity of who I am and based upon, as Martin Luther King said, the content of my character. Now, if the content of the character of that man had been he was shooting up the cops, he was fighting the cops, and he got killed, I got no argument. Regardless of nationality, got no argument. But that we see is commonplace. It's not unusual. 13 years old. I'm an African-American female. I'm in leotards and some shorts from a dance school at Tempe High. Walking home in a city that is extremely diverse because it's Arizona State University. Walking with my backpack on and my little bag, going home, the nerdy kid that I was a complete nerd. Woo, 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 woo. 1982. Where you going? Home. Where do you live? Up the street. What's your address? What did I do? I'm walking a public sidewalk. I'm going home. It took my best friend walking up behind me. She was in another she did acting classes. And she was in another after hours event and just luckily had walked up. And I said, she knows me. And I said, Jane. And Jane looked like this. And she walked over. And he goes, you know her? Jane is not this light, but she's extremely light. So I guess a lighter person could say they knew me and it was acceptable. We all have experienced something. I won't even talk about jobs. I can't even go. It's like where I'm at right now and the whole piece of shiznit comment from the gentleman that sits in front of me. And the same gentleman had made the comment about, I ain't got no Mexican in me, to the Spanish dude. Off the chain. Again, I don't have any ill will for him. I realize, and actually when he showed me pictures of where he's from, I realized you didn't grow up with me. And so you already have your preconceived notions of me. And you already also have your preset views of what you don't realize is the privilege of you being Anglo. In that TikTok video, the girl also talked about privilege, and she said, you get to go and have a meal. And don't be jealous because they have a movement. Be happy you don't need one. Because you get to sit at the table and have a plate and be fed and be treated a certain way. They don't. At the end, she did this. Black Lives Matter. Anglo. We have to change the narrative, and it's the only thing I keep saying. And to my African American folks, to my Latino folks, to everybody who's out here taking each other and throwing us under the bus on this side of trying to fight this, we can't. We can't sit and pick that we want this person to do that. We can't. You got to do what you can do in your moment. And don't go out here saying, well, so-and-so superstar should say this. You're not in their house. You don't know what they're doing. You have no clue. You don't know what the finances behind the scenes are. You don't know what political strings they pulling. You don't know nothing. You don't know them. You don't know. I watched the thing with TD Jakes, and when he got done with me, my mouth was on the floor. I didn't know that man's grandfather was killed due to most likely racial violence. He never got to know his grandfather, named after him and born on the same date his grandfather died. When he got through talking the other day, I was just like this. Because we don't never know nobody's story. So don't assume you know what these two African American women are doing, who hold money and power positions of influence. Sometimes, and as the Bible saying, you don't throw your pearls before the swine. Thank you, Sherry, for reminding me of it. Sometimes you gotta keep silent and make moves. You don't know what they're doing. And guess what? Neither does some other folk. I'm just saying. You don't know what collective money is going behind to try to help this. You don't know nothing. And you're not in their house. Stop putting your mouth on folks. Because the other group, they support straight up crazy foolishness, psychological lunacy. Support him to over a cliff. And you throwing your own folks under the bus. That's what has made us unsuccessful in this fight in the past. And if we do it again, we're going to do the same thing all over. What I learned from working at that company is when you're in these situations, you better hold a concerted front. Because that's exactly what they do. I just went through that up here. Situation happened. I'm an employee, comes in every day, minds my own business. I ain't bothering nobody. Go in there to do my job. I ain't told you I want to move nowhere in your company. Issue happens, you support the person that's oppressing. That's microscoping. You support that. And the treatment I got, okay. Concerted front, because that's what management does. Even if they realize the person's wrong, even if they realize they're discriminatory, they support it. It's what we saw with that man. There were cops standing right there as he was killing him. Standing right there as he was killing him. Not doing anything. Concerted front. You have to know when strategically to use it. And right now, you need to strategically use it. We don't need to throw each other under the bus. Not whatsoever. That's what's been on my mind today. And when I woke up to it, I was like, I've got to do this publicly. We either have justice or injustice, but we have to hold a concerted front. The Pharisees and Sadducees of the day, they supported the politics because it worked on behalf of what they wanted. They supported it even to Jesus going to the cross because they wanted him out of the way because they still wanted to be the center of attention. Here is who, some of them, I think they knew it might have been the Son of God. They didn't care. They were so caught up in themselves, and some of them were so blinded by their own self-power that they sent him to the cross using the same political system and calling themselves the leaders of the thing that he came to represent. Systems, politics, power, positions, entrenchment. Ooh, hold on, y'all. It might be the postman. Hey, you take this one? Yep. Ooh, try to get the door open. There you go. Thank you very much. All right. Did you put our jump bell in there already? Thank you. Where's my spray? Hold on, y'all. I'll get that in a minute. Where's my hand sanitizer? Sherry, if you watch this, your seeds have been mailed. Anyway, so that's my rant. I'm also going to recommend something. There is a movie, and it's ironic that I watched this movie almost 30 days or more prior to this happening. I watched it right around the start of the pandemic. It is an African-American movie. It is on Amazon, and it's called The House of Invictus. The House of Invictus. That movie is one of the most powerful movies dealing with, in my opinion, the damages that happened from slavery to now in the African American male community. It is a movie. The symbolism at which this brother wrote that movie, I had Joe watch it, and he watched the whole thing, but he said, Shannon, he didn't get it all because he doesn't understand the history. But I said, I didn't want you to get it. I said, watch what you can and gather what you can. I'll explain it to you later. If you guys want to watch it, maybe next week, I'll go over the movie because I'm going to watch it again. And I'll do a live and we can talk about it but I will tell you, you need to watch from the beginning. You need to have no distractions. It is not made for children under 13. There is some sexual stuff in there. There's other things in there that I would say I wouldn't do it for kids under 13. A 13-year-old and older, something I think that if you're a parent, you sit down with your kid and you discuss. I think it can open up a lot of dialogue, whether in the African American community or people who want to explain history. And there are things you have to watch. When I say there is a lot of symbolism in this movie, there is a lot of symbolism in this movie. You have to watch every aspect of it. If you get up and walk away, you've missed something. From the onset of the movie, from where he does a disclaimer, the guy who wrote the movie, he does a disclaimer. From that very disclaimer sets the foundation of that movie. If you watch it, make sure you read and watch everything. If it passed a picture, if there's a newspaper picked up, pause. I was pausing, reading, because every aspect in which this dude, whoever wrote, God bless America, that boy, black man, wrote that. He put his foot all up and through that movie with the historical issues of our day. And I don't know if he even knew. The movie should be prophetic for what's going on right now. It should be prophetic for what's going on right now. And it speaks to the heart. Watch the movie. Watch it. And what I'll do, if y'all watch it, I'll put the link up probably on a community page. I have the community page. Y'all know y'all can scroll over from videos to community page, and I'll try to go back to this video, maybe put it below. It's called The House of Invictus. That's the name of the video. It's on Amazon.com. If you're a Prime member, you can see it. I don't know, you might be able to rent it. It's not on Netflix, but it is on Amazon. At The House of Invictus, if you're a Prime member, it's free. If you're not a Prime member, you're probably gonna have to rent it. And I'm gonna tell you, it's a powerful movie. And I will do a talk on it. And I may not have even gotten all the symbolism, because when I got done, I was just like this. I had to take a moment. It was that powerful. And that's part of all this drama. I had to take a moment. Moment. Anyway, y'all, let me read your comments, and then I'm going to end this because this went on longer than what I had planned. Hold on for a second. All right, let's see what we got. And I'm going to see. Oh, good. Yeah, Justin, you want to have your, that's actually good. You got both of them together. A.V. Griffith. Hey, Danielle. All right, let me take y'all real quick. I'll take y'all into the garden, and then I'm going to end this. Oh, my Lord. And I got to show y'all my little vegetable that's coming up. And chill out, because today was a day. Today was a day. Hold on, turn y'all around. So, yeah, I got the netting up over there. I'm going to cut that extra off. Probably later tomorrow I'll do it. And I'm going to, because it's getting so hot, I'm going to have to water daily. But these are squash and cucumber plants. Squash and cucumber look the same. I got a whole bunch in there. I got beans. I got corn. You see the corn is coming up on top. I think that's my striped bell. This was a secondary plant that was growing up together, and I moved it. That's a sweet potato plant. Jalapeno, I think that's jalapeno pepper and a marigold. And then my tomatoes, haven't got any tomatoes yet, but I do have a new friend. Y'all see my little, hold on, y'all see my little friend? I don't know if y'all can see him. Y'all see him? You see him? That is a delicata squash. And so, and then these corn, these was planted before that corn, and this corn is doing not as good. That's tomato and marigold. I broke my pineapple tomato over there, but there were two of them. So either that one or that one down on the end is it. And this one and that one had two. I can't remember if he had two. I don't think he had two. I don't know. But anyway. So, yeah, right now it's so hot we're watering daily. Anyway, y'all, I'm getting ready to go in. I'm going to show you this real quick. So up here, my complex is older. They put two boards, and it looks like what they did is they had some kind of probably a, a tarp. But I'm going to hire somebody to go to Home Depot, and I'm going to get one of those pieces of, it's like a fire, I don't want the metal one, but it's corrugated, and it's like roofing. And I'm going to have them come do this. I think I'm going to use Joe's little handyman and have him put it up for some shade, because that's another thing. My plants they need sun, but they don't need this much sun. Or we're going to get a shade fabric. Anyway. Oop, let's turn it around. Hold on, y'all. Coming back in. Oh, yeah, they're going to charge them other officers, especially after this mess. But it's bigger. This is this was kind of the fuse that struck things. And I'm going to say this also, and then I'm going to get off here because I got to eat and take meds, and I got some stuff I want to do. I need to work on cleaning on my refrigerator. Use bigger glasses. There's a lot going on right now, and a lot of people are just looking at this issue. We got a lot of world events, and I'm going to tell you, I'll still say it's spiritual. Pandemic hits at the same time. What some people don't know is over in Africa, there was a locust infestation. That locust infestation, or whatever you want to call it, whatever, the crazy locusts eating up their food, also hit Middle East parts too. It skipped over Israel, which was interesting. Then we have the earthquake that took place in Utah. Utah doesn't have earthquakes. We had a Utah there. Then we have, which y'all didn't know, the bird flu peeked its head up down in the Carolinas at a couple of meat factories or whatever. So that popped its head up. You can go look at the news. I don't have to lie on nobody. Then, right as the country's trying to be opened, I forgot what state it was in the Midwest, where the dams broke and flooded out the city. Then I got El Salvador, one of these countries, just recently had a massive flooding that took place. Then we see back-to-back 3 different situations of African-American males getting brutalized and killed. And we finally come to the one where we watch where this cop sits on him like a king with his hands in his pocket, crushing this man's breathing capability, and a man pleading for his life. Then we go into civil unrest in America to the point of looting and all the other stuff that's going on when people are trying to peacefully protest and stand up against this in the best way possible. Then we've got food shortages, we've got supply shortages, we've got a financial crisis that is going to bust wide open here very soon. Our world is in flux. When has the whole world just stopped? And everything's happening at a moment in time. What's happening, though, is that people put their blinders on just their bubble. Well, here in America, we're under the pandemic. Oh, and the black people, they're pissed off about that. This is a bigger issue, and it's spiritual. And one of the reasons I'm big on the house divided against itself is because it's spiritual. This is spiritual. And if you don't take the blinders off, you will react out of anger instead of wisdom. And I know what it's like to get mad and then just go off and next thing you know, you got drama. Sometimes you have to stand up and get quiet. And you have to think and then you react. You think and then you act. And actually, I'm going to say think, act, not react, because react will make you react to the anger. Act makes you take an action thought and have some kind of strategic plan behind it. Sometimes you just to stand and not do anything. Other times, the Bible tells you, stand still and know that I'm God. So sometimes you just stand still and know that God is God and let him deal with it. Other times, it's kind of what I'm dealing with at work, right? I just stand still and know God is God. Other times, you do act and you do support. I catch the bus every day when I was going to work, pretty much. I don't have a car right now. I saw a lot of homeless. I felt led to be involved in there's a ministry here that helps them homeless on the street. I donate to it. I don't have a lot of money right now, but I donate to that ministry because there but for the grace of God go I. So sometimes you stand back, you look at a situation. Me getting on the bus, walking past them, irritated maybe because, some of them have mental issues. But what you don't know is that irritated black lady, is she trying to help them in a way? So you don't never know what people are doing behind closed doors. You don't know what people are doing. So to sit up and to automatically judge folks is one of the worst things we can do. It's the same thing being done while that man is dead, and the man before him is dead, and the man before him is dead, and the woman is dead, and all these people of color, because folks judge them and have their own biases instead of stopping and trying to think. But some people don't have rational thought. Some people are in their own bubble. My father's in his own bubble. It's all about him. My father ain't following it. Him and my sister both said they didn't watch the video. She said, well, I can't watch the video. I was like, okay, and I get, for some people, they can't watch it. I had one of the gardening channels I watched today. When you see the guy, you think he's white. He's Filipino and white. He's Filipino and something else. And he basically got on there and he said, I couldn't watch it when I heard about it. And finally, I just recently sat down and went and watched this video. And what he wrote was probably one of the most phenomenal things. I think I shared his little vlog out today. And he's a gardener. All he's on YouTube do is to garden. But it impacted him to even now self-reflect his own minority status, that he said, most people don't know I'm Filipino. So he's living on his privilege. I didn't go into that today. We won't go there. So, it's just like the young lady. You got black in you, but you supporting this over here, and you're standing behind it off a cliff because you feel that it's supporting your quote-unquote Christian agenda. Christianity has never been about that type of politics. Never has been. But in the name of Christianity, they brought us over on a ship, beat us, raped us, did a whole bunch of stuff to tell us they're going to civilize us. But outside of that, it's okay. We got Jesus out of it. And now we take and we teach them even the more depth things of the Word of God. It's okay. It's okay. Because it was one of us who helped him take that cross up. Anyway, y'all, peace. Talk to y'all later. Peace, 2 and 2.